Hello, everybody. I um I apologize for 2 weeks ago when I did record the meeting because I've had a number of people said, "Where's the meeting on YouTube?" I did record it, but I recorded it to my computer, and so that's just for me. That recording, I can only play it on this fucking computer. YouTube just said no, no thanks. You can't put that on here. So I apologize for that. So I can watch it again, which I've done half a dozen times because it was quite brilliant. But none of you lot. But for this is really for YouTube viewers. Apologies that you didn't get that, and you won't get it because I can't work out how to format it or whatever to put it on. So hello everybody, and lovely to see you. We'll see how it goes with the internet connection. Funny, the rest of the time, apart from doing meetings, the internet connection seems perfect. And it comes to a meeting, I mean, there you could say that life is like that, isn't it? It's only when you want it that it's shit. Um, I'm in shock because I've come from Alabama where it was 95 degrees Fahrenheit every day. And fucking England, what the hell is going on? We've got no summer whatsoever. I don't know. I'm typically English that I like moaning about the weather, isn't it? Isn't it? Worst summer we've ever had. It's not that bad, but my heating keeps coming on automatically. I just go, what the fuck? It's July. What's going on? I mean, so much for global warming. Like we know what's going on with that. I never know exactly what to talk about. You know, I like talking, but I did think maybe I'm neglecting what I really should say. Not that I should say anything, but if non-duality means anything, which it definitely doesn't, it's that the one who says, I'm doing shit, is not. There's no doer. That's it, really. And then the rest you can, I don't know, the rest you can wax lyrical about from there. No doer, no actor, no thinker, no chooser, no feeler. No sinner. No me, no you, no self, no one, no ones. And maybe the other thing that I ought to emphasize, which can so easily get overlooked, is that I'm not saying that you could become no one, that you could be a non-doer. or a no thinker or a no feeler. There isn't anyone to become anything. You haven't become what you are, and you won't become what you will be. No one does that. There are just stories about what you were and what you will be, what was and what will be. Now, there is only what is, but as soon as you start to talk about it, you know, you're on firm ground. What is won't be found. You won't find what is. There is only what is. So it's just the fact that you're not seeing it. You're not feeling it. There's just feeling it and seeing it, hearing it. No, you won't be wasting your time. There's no time to waste. You said that. It's wonderful that you can't waste your time. I mean, how much of a child, as a teenager, did you get berated for wasting your precious time? I can remember that. I probably still say it to my son when he's on his iPad. Can you stop looking at monster trucks? What a complete waste of time. Do something useful, for God's sake. So the liberation is that there isn't anything useful. Now that I have to do a caveat of there is seemingly useful, there is the appearance of being useful, which means helping someone else usually. But if you do what, I mean, this is a dilemma. If a human being does what it likes doing, not what it's meant to do, inevitably, invariably, there will be the accusation by the self-righteous selves of not only are you a selfish asshole, but you're wasting your God-given talents. You could make so much more of yourself if only you'd apply your gifts. Well, fuck your gifts. They're of no benefit to anyone, including you. Now, I'm starting to sound a little bit hedonistic, and I don't really mean that. I don't mean it's better to do what gives you pleasure, but it is more pleasurable. We'll have to concede that. And the fact that pleasure is wrong, I don't know if you were brought up with that sort of quasi-puritanical Christianity, but I don't think that just applies to Christian conditioning, that anything you do for yourself is essentially selfish and therefore wrong in some way, to some extent. Well, it's quite wonderful when there isn't a self, there is nothing selfish or unselfish. There is just what there is motivation to do. And you might find that motivation really drops away when it's very obvious that most of what you called motivation was the fear of being seen as selfish and bad and not making the most of yourself. Well, there's nothing to be made the most of. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if you felt a decrease in motivation, because most of my motivation was to be a good boy. I'm 62 years old, still trying to be a good boy to please my mother. You're probably doing the same. Well, and yeah, I know there's nothing my mother loved more than seeing me play aimlessly in the sandpit with my cars, building road networks, digging tunnels, creating a whole imagined world. And I know my mum adored that. And yet self, it's easy for self, and self can't help this either, but to blame. So it's my mother's fault because she, it's not true. There's no one to blame. And work isn't more noble than play. Work isn't higher than play. But there again, play isn't more, you can soon turn it around and go, oh no, it's play that's the right thing. If only I played more, then I'd be on the right path. There is no path. There is nothing right or wrong. But all this bettering ourselves, becoming our best self, it's torture. There is no one to be better or worse. This is the complete death of self-improvement. Well, of course, it would be. There are no parts. This sense of being apart. There are no parts to be apart or to be joined or to be together. And although that is liberating, it's also tragic for the one who tried so hard to be joined with the others, at one with. There's no one to be at one with. I think I longed for the absence of myself because I was blaming myself. I was the problem. What I didn't realize that without me, there would be no others. So that the dream of communion, of becoming at one with others, there are no others to become one with me. Without me, there are no others. There are no others to be a part of me, and there are no me to be a part of others. That's not. And although there is freedom in that, there is a tragedy in it too. There is a real sadness. If you are like me and wanted to be known and seen, I had this desperation to be seen, this longing to be truly seen. Not the superficial, but see me, see me. Well, you can't see me. I can't see you. There's nothing to be seen. Just seeing. There are no parts to be apart or to be together. Well, thanks for coming, everyone. Lovely to see you all. And if you'd like to ask any questions, just put your hand up. If you want to share anything, put your hand up.
Jeremy has his hand up. All
Hi,
right, Jeremy.
Is that it?
That's it. Yeah.
So one of the main things about being separate is the other separate people.
Yeah.
And it's very distinct, isn't it? There's the felt sense of someone here, and then there's my wife over there.
Yeah.
A person, my daughter, a person.
Yeah.
And you obviously had over many years, 60 years of whatever.
Yeah.
Living with that as a, let's use the word reality or whatever.
Yeah.
So could you talk about the change? Because it seems when I try to imagine it, which I know I can't really, you know, another person is simply a collection, like Michael writes often about, is you know, like a collection of stories and history that's in action. But there's nothing there as such.
Yeah.
And that must be, like, you've talked about it as being sad, which I can imagine. But there's no one, you can still throw your arms around somebody. I see, you know, with your brother, and you have a great time.
Yeah.
But there's something different, obviously.
Yeah, but the only thing that's different, I have to remember, I have to conjure up, or a memory has to appear for me to think how it's different. That's the thing. So the whole notion of, in order for you to imagine how it is for me, it can only be imagination, Jeremy.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely no different whether there's a sense of it's my imagination or just imagination. That isn't going to change. I just answer your question directly. How is it different? Well, it isn't any different at all. It's exactly the same. And yet, and I mean exactly the same.
Yeah.
Perceptually, viscerally, emotionally. Apart from, and then I can then put some caveats on that, and then say, and it's completely different. So this is all very, very paradoxical because there isn't a self already, Jeremy. So the sense of being Jeremy, and that you're inside, and you know, you're you, and your wife is who she is, and you have a sense of, you know, yourself, and then you know who she is. Well, that isn't going to change, and none of that, how could that can't change. That is just what the human being Jeremy Moore has. Memories, stories. So stories are what, pretty much, really, I mean, you can't say what we have without the stories. The stories are all we have. So the sense of separation is all we have, separate human beings in relation with each other. That can't change. Now, if you think there's some, there might be, I don't know how, I haven't got no idea how it is for human beings who say they're enlightened, but I really want to tell everyone that enlightenment is the biggest crock of shit that's ever been imagined by human beings, that they could achieve, and as it is, a whole different way of being. I'm not talking about a different way of being. I'm saying there can be the absence of one, I mean, tiny, because it's not even tiny, because it's non-existent aspect of being, which is everything is in relation to me. That's all. And if that disappears, this is the greatest paradox of all, I think, is that you wouldn't even notice.
Yeah.
Because the noticing, you know, the noticing of how it's different is just another story. So you could just add that story onto the stories that you have. Oh, yeah, I remember when I had that experience. And what I'm talking about isn't an experience. And yet it's all experience. Because experiences are just stories, Jeremy.
Yeah.
And
we sort of,
and the thing is, the other thing I might say is that the stories are often made out to be the issue. That's the problem. So if the stories weren't there, then it'd all be fine. Which maybe it would be fine, but they would be fuck all, Jeremy, without the stories. Absolutely.
Yeah, we live with
fuck all.
Yeah, we got a friend over at the moment, and we were in the cafe, and it was just stories non-stop, you know, and you sort of live with it. When you got a story to pops up, you go, I've got a good one here.
Yeah.
And you sort of, you live within that story as you're telling it for the umpteenth time. but as you say, without all those stories to tell, all those lovely stories.
Oh yeah. You know, the tragic stories. And I mean, we love, don't forget, I mean, as human beings, I just think we are storytelling creatures. That's what we are. But the stories, here's the thing, the difference would be my story is no more significant than your story. And if you think about how it is for me, really, for self couldn't give a shit about your story. It is only my story that matters. Because I am the center of the universe, and every fucking thing else revolves around me. I mean, self-centered is perfect for self. I am the sun. Literally, self is the sun, and you are the planets that orbit my world and my universe. But it's my universe. Well, it so happens that it's not. That's all.
It's a sort of tightness, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Well, the thing is, it's all by degrees. I mean, it can be excruciating. The pain of being me, the you know, contraction, the tightness, like ever tightening a screw. I mean, it can feel so tight that you're cross-threading it. You know, I think of it literally as a nut and bolt. And you know, if you over tighten it, you'll wreck the thread.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to hurt if you do that. And I think a lot of people live in that. A lot of human beings feel that pain of feeling so tight, so held. You know, it's that I've got to hold it all together. Well, there's nothing. Well, there's nothing to hold together. And there is nothing to fall apart. That's the thing. You know, I'm so terrified of falling apart. Well, you could fall apart. There would be nothing that falls apart. The falling apart might feel, I'm pretty sure it would, most likely, feel terrifying, because you are the very what you are is the holding it together. The holding it together is what you are, not that you are holding yourself together. There isn't anything being held together. The holding it together is the energy of self, the control of the manager, the spinner of the plates, the juggler of the balls. But there isn't a spinner or a juggler. The balls can all fall. The plates can all smash. And nothing will be lost. I like an analogy, don't I, Jeremy? It's full of shit there.
I heard someone once also describe it, because you could say like a cross-threading, or quite dramatic, or terrifying, or, you know, deeply painful. And but then I heard also somebody else describe it as like a tight fist. And just relaxing it. It's just a relaxation. But then I guess if that fist is always being held like that, you know, that relaxation is a huge relief.
Well, how are you going to? Well, you don't want to relax that fist. How the fuck are you going to defend yourself, Darren? You want a nice fist to punch the others in the face with.
Not a floppy.
Don't allow. Yeah, you know, you don't want to be fighting the other guy like what is it like? Where's the great fight scene in that rom-com? Is it 4 Weddings and a Funeral? Can't remember now. You know, where Hugh Grant, where they fight.
Oh yeah. And
they're fighting like, oh fuck, I love that. That's hilarious. Because that's my fighting style. If you don't shut the fuck up, I'm gonna really slap you very hard. Yeah. I remember I've only had 2 fights in my life, and I just remember this guy who'd done some boxing. And I went, come on then. And before I'd finished the then, it just was a straight jab straight in my face, and I just went down like a sack of shit. And that was the end of it.
I had very similar experience when I was young. I think I might have been about 13, and that everyone somehow got lined up in this fight with this guy called Steve. No. I can't remember his second name. And then everyone's around going, fight, fight, fight. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going. And then the same thing, punch straight in the face, and that was it. It was done.
It broke my fucking nose.
Yeah.
I was just crying. Again, all I mean is that self won't want to relax and be weak and vulnerable.
Yeah.
Self is terrified of vulnerability, Jeremy, and that's what we are. You know, I'm really afraid of, if I don't keep myself together and protected and strong and tight, then I'm really vulnerable, and I'm terrified of vulnerability. And the truth is, again, hugely paradoxical. When there's no sense of having to protect yourself because there's nothing to be protected, you could say that's total vulnerability. And yet, of course, that is, as if by magic, complete invulnerability. There's nothing more invulnerable than nothing. I mean, how are you going to hurt nothing? You know, punching thin air.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a bit like that.
I always imagine it as, you know, if you're in a game of tennis, you bat the ball and there's no one to bat the ball back to. There's no player.
No. And and it is a bit like that maybe in conversations. I'm sure some of you have found that. So what you would have called normal conversations, you find the ball is hit to you, and you go to swing, but you haven't got a racket, and you can't hit it back. It's almost like you haven't got any hands to play the game anymore.
Mm.
And you can try, maybe you can summon
Try.
up. You make some effort, but whereas it used to come naturally to play those games between selves, it's very common for people to talk to me and say how hard they find every day, how painful it is to interact with selves and play the self game. So I listen to your story and I empathize with it and say how terrible it must be for you. And then if I do that well enough, then the other person will listen to my self-sob story and empathize with me. And we collude with each other and support each other. And we call these healthy relationships. It's fucking not. It's the ultimate codependency. I depend on you to confirm myself, and you depend on me to do the same. And woe betide you if you fall short of.
Exactly.
Oh, fucking hell, you're in trouble then. If you don't do a good job of saying of saying how terrible life is for you. And maybe again, and you probably want to find some solutions together. But there's nothing wrong with any of that.
No.
And I wouldn't want you to think that I don't, if people speak to me, friends speak to me, I don't, and they say, what would you do? There isn't a practical idea come up. There probably would be. But it doesn't matter. I mean, the difference is it really doesn't matter like it used to. That's really
exactly. Yeah, that's the sense.
It doesn't have the weight and the significance.
There's nothing in here holding on to the significance or meaning of it all. It's
no. So in that sense, it's a lot lighter. That's what. Yeah. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Razia, that's a hand up.
Hi, Razia. Hello.
That is an interesting discussion. It is interesting in the sense that, that Jeremy said that this otherness is always going to be present, you know, and there are sages saying, and there are no others, you know, and how do you explain that? Because I mean that's the dream of manyness. You know, you are going to experience it till you die. It's not going. People are not going to disappear because you have shifted as such. But I was thinking about term like when I first experienced the shift, like when I was in my 30s, I realized that the filters, I don't know if people call it filters, are falling away. Like I could feel people's pain. Like I'd stand next to different people and I could feel pain. Like, so I knew now it's not my pain, like, you know, like I'd stand next to someone and I feel their pain and go next to someone else. It was like you could feel that there was this empathy. People call it empathy.
Yeah.
And then somehow like you'll be standing next to people and you can feel like more or less what they're thinking. And like it was filters like were just falling away. Like there was like although there was this appearance of this otherness, but you couldn't feel it anymore now because you were them. You were feeling them, you were thinking them. It was like, and then this time around when I experienced it, it was slightly different. Like what you were talking about, Tim, and you said doership. I remember I was standing and washing dishes, and I said, who is washing dishes? Who is this person that's washing dishes? You know, who is this that do? Yeah. And and then like you'll be driving and you say, who drove the car? I didn't. You have been tired now. And there's that. And then it's also like how you're looking at things now, and things start to change, where you could see, it's like something is looking through your eyes. Like it's your vision has changed. You're not looking with the same kind of, I don't know what it is, but and then so you like where you saw, like you look at people's eyes, and like where you saw like indifference, or you saw people like hatred, or lots of the other things, and then you see love. And it takes time, like, because you're working through your whatever, I don't know what it is that is being worked out. But you're looking at this person and you see love. And that's the most beautiful thing, I think, about the whole thing. Is like where this person was stressed and depressed, and now it's like they're looking at you with love, and you looking at them and you see that love. Yeah, so it's there's this otherness is always going to be there. That's the appearance. It's like you say, there is this that is seeking itself in this otherness.
Thanks, Rosie.
Thanks.
I'll give a little plug as there's a pause. I'm hoping to finish my new book within the next week, and hopefully that'll be on Amazon in a week or so.
We can't hear you.
No,
I can hear you.
I don't think.
I think.
I can.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, everyone else can hear me, Kate. Yeah, so I've been working with Julie, who helps me put it together. She's slightly more literate than I am. So that'll be out on Amazon, yeah, within a couple of weeks at least. Haven't got a title yet, so you can post a few suggestions if you're feeling bored now. Post them and Darren can read them out at the end. That might be entertaining, because you could call it anything you like. So what do you fancy? Now, there won't be a prize if I choose yours, other than the immense honor that you would feel. I don't know what to call it. Not surprisingly.
I still quite like your doubtless uncertainty.
I don't know why. I don't know why I'm saying it. I'm saving it. Sorry, I'm saving it for.
Yeah.
Because believe it or not, I've got another book ready to come out. I'm so full of shit. But yeah, so I've got another book. This is talk, so it's question and answer. If that helps with your title ideas. But I do like doubtless uncertainty. I'm thinking I might. I do like that, but it's not a seller, has it? It's not got, it's not got.
It's not a seller at all.
It's not got help or power or you know, light. I mean, I think I might have to put love in the title again, just because, you know, love sells. Not that I'm not that I'm being
powerful. How about powerful? How about powerful? What is the other type? Doubtless.
Well, I was thinking about the power of love, but then it's kind of been overdone, hasn't it?
Just put it before your title. What is it? What did you say your title is? I forgot what you like.
Oh, what I like is called Doubtless Uncertainty.
Powerful, doubtless uncertainty.
I don't think anyone's buying that. Oh, there'll be no power in doubtless uncertainty, that's for sure. No, lack of power, powerlessness does not sell. That's for sure. There we go. He died without a trace. Thanks, Susie.
Has anyone fed the peacock?
Has anybody what?
Has anybody fed the peacock?
The peacock?
That's the title of the book. That's Romana's last words.
Brackets. Has anyone seen the peacock?
Better.
Close brackets. Lovely. Oh, thanks for those. Sophie.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Sophie.
Hi. Does Tim still have like
Oh no, I always worry when the question starts like that. It's like, oh shit.
I don't know how else to say it, but okay, like thinking I don't want that. Like I don't want that.
Does Tim still feel I don't
want that? Okay, forget Tim. Just in general, you know, like let's forget about Tim.
It's fine. I'm only joking, but I know what you mean. It's like
I mean, yeah, whatever. I mean, like I don't want this. Like, does it still appears? Because it's like that sounds very much like somebody's fighting with life, you know, I don't want this, I don't want
oh yeah.
Like, I want something else, right?
Yeah, of course.
So yeah. Because the me would fight with life, right?
There isn't
control that.
Right, the whole notion that before there are things that could occur, and then after there are things that could no longer occur. I mean, that's the myth of enlightenment. That's the myth of awakening. That's the myth of liberation. There isn't, this isn't talking about a freedom from things you don't like no longer occurring. Like you might think that you're going to be much more peaceful. So there will only be, or more loving, say. So there will only be loving thoughts. There will only be peaceful thoughts. Could there be more anything more violent than that, really? Because what that's doing is making all of those thoughts wrong. And it's quite the opposite. This is complete freedom for that everything just appears as it appears. This has nothing to do with what you like.
Right. No.
And so, yeah, if things... So let me give you a really concrete example. The other day, I missed, just like the great the great Irish golfer Rory McIlroy, I missed a 3-foot putt to win the game in golf. Now, of course, being an enlightened master, I took it with great ease and congratulated my opponent. Did I fuck? This is what I do. This is what I did. I gritted my teeth and I threw my putter over the hedge. I mean, and it was, now, see, that's not much different to I would have done when I was young. That's pretty much like an 8-year-old tantrum. But the difference is, here's the difference, I had no shame.
Right, yeah.
Now there's the difference. So I should be, it's shameful, but it's embarrassingly pathetic behavior. And I should be, everyone would say, oh, did you think it's really embarrassing? I'm embarrassed for him, aren't you? It's really pathetic. And I couldn't give a fuck. And I couldn't give a fuck that they thought I was pathetic either. I said, yeah, it was pathetic. Knowing full well that probably if it happened again, I would do the same. So there's no, it's like a lack of, it's not a lack of remorse, but it is a lack of shame. Now, here's the thing. You would think that there wouldn't be any, kind of like remorse and shame get confused by self as though they're the same thing. No, there can be great remorse about what seems to have happened. If I've caused pain to others, then the remorse is really intense. I think the shame and the guilt is to protect the human being from feeling that.
Right. Yeah.
And that doesn't happen. So that's what I mean by sadness and sorrow and grief, because there can be, you know, I wish I hadn't have done that. And you can wish it really very intensely. But shame about it, no, not at all. This is utterly shameless. There's no one to be ashamed.
So there could also still be like self-criticism, because then it's still back to self, right?
Yeah, there could be self-criticism. There could be like, yeah, I wish I hadn't done that, but there, you know, it's like, it's done.
Yeah, but not really like a lot of stories and going around in circles.
It's the shame, the guilt and the shame. Right. Without the one, because I didn't choose to throw my putter over the hedge.
No. So how can you feel sorry for that if it's like was not in your hand?
No, I didn't feel sorry for that. I feel sorry. I was a little bit sorry for the others who felt I'd embarrassed them. They were embarrassed that they had to play with a total knobhead like me, you know, and it's like, oh God, we're not playing with him again. It's such an embarrassment. So I was a little bit sad for them, but not for me.
Right. Okay.
I know. I mean, I don't know what sort of example that. What I mean by that is that there isn't. It doesn't get better. Your behavior. If you think this is somehow some kind of behavioral, or there will be some behavioral improvement without you, well, you could think again.
No, I don't think my behavior is improving at all.
No.
Other way around. Anyway, thank you very much, Tim.
Yeah, because it could. I mean, it's not necessarily the other way around at all, but this is liberation for what you might have called your bad behavior.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing, because it feels like the more free it is, it's just it's not that I don't care, like I'm gonna harm people, but it's like there's much less, like, I don't know how to say it, barriers, and much less shame probably.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but I would guess generally if there's a less energetic, a less virulent sense of self, there's less to protect. Then,
exactly.
Then there will be less aggression and less need to defend yourself. You won't want to hurt others. I mean, most hurting others, if you haven't realized yet, is only in what self would say is self-defense. It's all self-defense. If you scare me, I'm probably going to hurt you.
Sounds good. Anyway, thank you, Tim.
Okay, thanks, Sophie.
Razia has a hand up.
Razia.
Sorry. And I just want to say, you know, like what Sophie was talking about, and what you responded. I wanted to add, like, you know, like animals, like they'll be fearful, right? If they see like a dog will get, a monkey will get fearful when it sees a dog.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment the dog is out of its sight, the fear is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now with humans, on the other hand, that fear remains and it's replayed and replayed, you know, in the mind. Each time they think about something.
Yeah.
That same, oh, I saw the monkey, I'm fearful. And then that, although the monkey is not present, but the fear is still present there all the time.
Yeah, it can
So
be.
it's like a memory thing. It's carried in the memory. With animals, that doesn't seem to happen.
No. Well, believe, and the most incredible thing is that those stories of replaying the memory. I'm not talking about those not appearing anymore, but if I'm not in danger, if I am not in danger, then
yes,
the danger has a very different feel to it than if my existence, my very existence is in my life, which is my existence, is in danger, then there's terror. Whereas just natural fear for the well-being of this body, that doesn't have the terror at all. That literally is, I don't know, the naturalness of fear for the well-being of the body. The body just does, human beings just do that naturally. That's not what you're afraid of. Most human beings are not afraid of their body. They're afraid, or for their body, they're afraid for themselves. I'm afraid for me.
yes.
And the story itself is not a problem. Thanks.
Yeah. No, what I mean is that it's not, they don't let go of it immediately. It's played there, you know, in the mind. And this is like, it can carry on for decades.
Yeah.
Where people are remembering things that have happened years ago and they carry that memory, you know?
Yeah.
But now I notice like I can feel something and then it's like for a short while I feel it and then it's gone, you know? It doesn't worry you as much as it did. Sorry. Thanks.
Thanks. Does anyone else want to say anything or ask a question?
Oh, Michael, just got his hand up.
Michael?
What do you see as the connection between two imaginary people?
Well, it depends what we call an imaginary. I mean, I don't think feelings are imaginary. And when you say imaginary people, I would still say that there's a relationship between people. But by people, I just mean human beings, not selves. And it's a very subtle, it's sort of a, I mean, we don't make this clear enough, really, probably, that when most people say people, they mean other me's. And what did you, is that what you meant?
Thinking of the connection between selves.
Well, there is no connection between selves. There is imagined connection between selves. Because, of course, I don't know yourself at all. So I can only imagine a connection between me and you.
And yet we appear to communicate here.
Oh yeah, no, there's communication, but then I would say the communication is natural. You know, I mean, a dog snarls at another dog, and the other dog knows what it means. it's communication. And although ours is very complex, seemingly, it's no different to dogs sniffing each other's asses, really.
Mm.
And because ours is so elaborate, we're very grandiose about, okay, so there's this, I don't know, there's this supernatural connection, you could say, where I can know you and you can know me. And there really is nothing more supernatural, which we take as a given. I mean, generally, if you talk to virtually everyone, they take it as a given that they know other selves. When in fact, every single one of those who's taken it as a given knows full well they have never, ever known another self. It's outrageously undeniable that you can't know another. You can know another human being by the familiar, and all that means is the familiarity of how they look and how they behave, how they sound, and how you feel in their company. And that remains exactly the same, whether there's a sense of there's a self inside that human being or not. Those feelings are just the same, and the familiarity is the same. All that seems to have not appear is this delusion that I know you. I don't. And yet the connection is strong. Here's the thing, Michael. This connection, which I could call love, the love is more obvious, not less.
Here, the connection is seen as linguistic, as our only connection is a shared language between these personas.
Yeah.
Our connection is this worded perspective. That's, I believe, our only thing that is seen here as the way we connect.
Well, I'd say, but that's not the only way, though, is it, Michael? Because me and you could sit together and not say a word and feel incredibly close without any words at all.
It's still an objectified feeling closeness, though.
Well, no. I mean, if we put it into words, it has to be objectified because, but I mean, we can say, I mean, we have to put feelings as words, but feelings, I mean, this is what I'd say. Do feelings really need words to be real? Do you have to name a feeling and describe a feeling and then perhaps explain the feeling in order for the feeling to be completely and utterly known without any knowing of it at all? I would say the feeling is utterly and completely known without a single word.
Oh my. Yeah, I do not. I think in order for us to internalize it, it needs a name.
Now, I would say quite the opposite. Now, in order to communicate it, we feel it needs a name. And by that, I might even say communicate it to ourselves. So I try and make sense of it. And the illusion that a language has is that it does make sense of this, of life. It doesn't at all. It's completely irrelevant. Life is simply as it is. And I think it's really, maybe we don't talk about this enough. We haven't got a word for knowing without language. We haven't got a word for it at all. The best we have is probably intuition. And, you know, intuition is normally, okay, I don't know why I know that, but I do know it. And I don't doubt. Rather than I know it, it's more that I don't know what it is that I know, but I don't doubt it. This intuitive sense that most of us talk about, and what self tends to do is ignore it completely because it's not rational. But what I'm speaking of has no, just couldn't give a damn about rationality. mean, it doesn't matter.
I see what you're saying. There's a bleed through at that point where we do feel feelings. There is a reaction in the brain. The primal reactions that occur without. But then in order to experience that through the sense of self, through the lens of self, it has to be objectified. But I'm losing myself here. I don't, I think we've reached a point beyond which words can go, but
Yeah.
or
Well, that is what I'm speaking of, where words can't go. Yeah.
Thanks, Tim.
And I mean, that's for a man who just speaks endlessly, just loves words, because without words, we would the aloneness. Okay, here's the wonder for me. The aloneness would be so overwhelming if we didn't have the fucking words. So I can do this. I'm sitting alone in Maney in Cambridgeshire, in the seat that in the story I've sat in for the last 5 years. Just words, just spilling, vomiting out. Just, I have no idea what's coming and where it's coming from. And without that, we couldn't seemingly meet, could we? I mean, there are silent retreats where people sit in silence, but they've never appealed to me. So we're left with the words and the stories, and there isn't anything else.
Yes.
So it's not that I disagree with you that there's anything else. There isn't anything else that we could speak about or think about. Of course not, without. But this is the only way I can really. The only word that seems to fit is felt. You know, there's a felt sense, but then as soon as even that is saying too much. The great news is, I mean, this is the wonder. This is the good news. This is the gospel. You can't get it. You can't have it. You can't touch it. You can't know it, because there is no it. There is not anything to get. That's what I want to tell everyone. And there aren't many people want to hear, but that's what I want to say. That's the motivation, is to not help you in any way. In any way at all. I can't emphasize that enough. There is no one who could possibly help you. That's what I want to tell you. That's the great news.
How about the title for your book, The Really Good News?
Oh, thanks for coming, everyone.
Thanks, Tim.
Oh, thanks, Michael. Lovely to see you all. And if you would like to be, on the invitation list, or you're watching this on YouTube and you'd like to be invited to the meetings, then just email me at clistim@gmail.com. Bless you.
Oh.
Sophie.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
That's all right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks. Cheers, Darren. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, bye. See you.
Bye.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you. Where's no.
That one.